Hello, how y'all been? I'm making this video because it's something I get asked about a lot on my social media platforms, and it's basically, how did you lose weight? What did you do? And I'm not like a very, I'm not a very big like fitness influencer, and I don't think that you should take all of my advice completely, at face value. Like what works for different people, it works for different people, right? And that's fine. But my whole belief is that we live in a world where there's a bunch of processed foods, right? There's a lot of food that has 10 different ingredients, and a lot of people like to, give you these recipes that have 5 different or 6 different like actual foods inside of the food in order to make something healthy. They'll be like, this is a fig goat cheese, honeydew lemon with high-end prosciutto and Caesar salad. And you need to home make the Caesar. You have to use real anchovies from Spain. And it's like the normal person, like a dude that doesn't know how to cook a chicken is going to look at that and be like, all right, I'm going to go to like McDonald's, man. I'm done with this. Panda Express has new spicy orange chicken. I'm going to hit that up instead of eat healthy today. And that's something I've realized with myself. That's coming from personal experiences. For the longest time, I didn't want to cook, and it's because cooking requires a lot of energy. When you buy these things that have 10 different ingredients, you're all of a sudden wasting, spirulina or like mint in your fridge, and you're wasting a bunch of like meat in your fridge, and you don't eat all the lunch meat, and then you have to eat all the lunch meat, and lunch meat is processed and all this stuff, and it's like tiring. And that was something I experienced when I started, learning how to lose weight. I was 330 pounds in November of 2022, and now I'm 220. I'm probably gonna get down to like 185. That's my goal. And yeah. So my whole idea is you eat simple, right? It's like musicians who can play the C chord in a groove are sometimes better than musicians that sit there and they like they're Jacob Collier musicians, where they like need to show you how much they know music theory and show off in order to like seem like the best musician. There's a beauty in the simplicity of things. It's like, that's the dude who's making crazy recipes on Instagram trying to get you to buy figs. I don't even understand what a fig really is. I don't get it. So my idea is 3 basic proteins. You always want to have 3 different meals you can eat. You want to make it super simple for yourself. You want to be able to save them without them going to waste. You want to be able to, kind of like switch up your side, switch up how you eat it, switch up, different ways to eat it. And what I found is that like salmon, chicken, and steak are all very effective at fulfilling, like if I want different things to eat, I can fulfill myself on any one of those. And I vacuum seal everything. I save everything. I don't have any waste. Like chicken isn't going to waste. I can cook it perfectly every time. And I'll show you kind of where that starts. It's something that you can buy for $73 used on Amazon. It is something you can bring to work. It's something that is pretty simple. You could start cooking something at 10 a.m. and come home, and it'll be ready at 6 p.m. still. It'll be good. And that's a sous vide. You've probably seen a bunch of these online. It's basically water, and it heats up. This is a ribeye that my girlfriend's dad gave me. Shout out Pat. And then this is just a basin. You put water in the basin. You heat it up to like 120, whatever the required temperature is for the thing you're cooking, and you add 30 minutes onto whatever recipe you're looking at, because you're cooking it with the intent of eating it from frozen. And the reason why I freeze everything is because you save everything. Like, this is my fridge right now. I have steak, right? Got these at Costco on a sale. So I got like 5 ribeyes or 6, 2-inch ribeyes. thick cut for like $37. You can always find deals like that. You can always go to like different butchers and find something for pretty cheap. I got a bunch of chicken. I season the chicken, and then I do like this thing where I go to Costco, buy like 3 bags of chicken, and it's like $24 each. And then you have like 30 pounds of chicken, and you get these bags here. They're $10 on Amazon. They're called Cintis, and they're just 200 count bags that basically perfectly fit anything you want to put in them, right? You just put chicken in those, and then you vacuum seal it, and you throw it in the fridge. Super easy. You have it at all times. Everything's good, you know? And then I also got a bunch of broccoli, which are one of my sides, and I got a bunch of salmon, which I usually will cook with brown rice, put a little like teriyaki sauce in it, put some norifuki, which is rice seasoning, and then I'll eat that with some seaweed. Seaweed is really good, really easy. And you throw some pickled red onions on top of it with some soy sauce and some, whatever you want. And it's great. It's amazing. So in my fridge is what I'm usually rocking, right? I have a bunch of beef sticks. So like if I'm having a good morning, oh shit, beef stick down. If I'm having a good morning, right, I'll get a beef stick, right? And then I'll get like a Core Power protein shake. I like to do these kind of pre-packaged ones because I'm lazy, and I feel like every time you have to make an actual protein shake, it's so busy. You're sitting there like it adds 20 minutes to your day sometimes, and these are just simplistic, low carbs. Most of these have dietary fiber. Like Premier Proteins are cheaper than these ones. You can get them at Costco, and they're like $34 for 24 of them, and that's not bad. It's a great deal. Also, I get Olipop. I try to have 2 of these a day because they have insane amounts of dietary fiber, which is something you should get on. And it sucks at first because your body probably does not know how to process fiber, but having it in your diet is really good for you. I do avocado mash, which is from Costco as well. And you just use this, 90 calories, has basically no carbs because it's all dietary fiber. And it has, good fats because it's avocado. It's a healthy fat. And then I do this for myself every 2 or 3 weeks. I make pickled red onions, which is super simple. You just, do pickling juice, a brine, and then you throw those in some jars, and you have probably the best and healthiest condiment for anything. It adds acidity to any meal at all times. So here's a few more sides that I like to eat, right? I have brown rice, and this guy, go get an Ashiki brown rice. It's a Japanese brand that does not process or refine their rice. And what I mean by that is they don't completely take all the nutrients out. And they also have the same process for white rice. So their white rice is technically non-processed food, which is amazing. Because if you like white rice and you don't like brown rice, then you're able to kind of buy from them and know that you're still getting like complex carbs. And the difference between a complex and a simple carb is basically a simple carb is something that's refined, doesn't really have any nutritional value other than being calorie dense. A complex carb, from my understanding, again, I'm not a dietitian, don't really know what I'm talking about, is something that has nutritional value on top of being a carb and being an energy source. So I try to like completely avoid, complex carbs in my diet. Here's another side. This is sweet potato. These are amazing. I have just gotten on the sweet potato like train, and I will ride that shit like Kim K rode at Ray J. All right, this is amazing. You just kind of like throw these in, you mash them. I use no butter. I use very light oil, and then I use this good seasoning like salt, pepper, garlic, and I mash them. And then I have that, and I put it in the fridge, and I'll weigh it out, and those are usually my days. So, that being said, I'll switch it up. I'll be like, I want salmon and sweet potatoes today, or I want salmon and rice, or I want steak and sweet potatoes, or I want steak and broccoli, or chicken and sweet potato, chicken and broccoli. And the process to cook all this is super simple. I throw it in my sous vide. I get it to a temperature, and I cook it. So salmon's like 125. Cook it for 2 or 3 hours since it's frozen. And then I leave it at like 120 for the rest of the time that I'm gonna, be gone, or if I'm working, or if I'm doing this. and then I pull it out and cook it. So that being said, you kind of take the thing out of the sous vide, and what I do is I always try to have one pot. I try to have one pan at all times. Like I don't want to have multiple pans cooking multiple things. Don't like that because it takes time. And like my whole process of cooking is like I want to be completely ready to eat within 5 minutes. So imagine this is done, right? I take it out, cut it open, and this is with every meat I have. I take some paper towels and I dry it off. The reason being is that when you cook something, if you don't use, if it has water on it and you're trying to get a crust on it, then you're going to run into kind of like inconsistencies in your crust, and it's not going to absorb the oil as well. So dry it off, right? And I take it to this pan right here. This pan's dirty right now. Sorry. And I basically will take some avocado oil and I'll cook a piece of chicken on my pan that's hot, and then I'll take it out. I'll get some aluminum foil, put it right here, and then if I'm cooking broccoli, for instance, take a little bit of water, pour it in here, and put my broccoli in there with some seasoning and put a lid on it. And then I cook that for 3 minutes while I'm preparing the chicken, while I'm getting ready, plating my red pickled onions and getting, a little sauce thing for the Sweet Baby Ray's, sugar-free, which you can buy on Amazon too. And then I eat. Same thing with steak. If I'm like making sweet potatoes, I will kind of like time it so that the sweet potatoes are done, and then I'm working on the steak and getting it seared, and then I bring the steak out and finish the sweet potatoes, and I package the sweet potatoes that I don't need, and then I combine that, put it in the fridge, and I have a little meal saved, and then I eat the meal that I'm eating. So that's how I've lost a lot of weight. I gained a lot of weight when I went to France. I gained like 20 pounds because I wasn't cooking for myself, and I knew that I can come home and do this again because this is like a tried and true method for me to lose weight. I don't work out that much. Something that people ask me is like, how did you get, so how are you getting so yoked, bro? Your muscles are so, no one's ever said that to that extent, but people do wonder like how I still have muscle. High protein. I only eat really like protein, dietary fiber. I do eat like carbs. When I eat carbs, they're nutrient dense carbs, and I think that helps a lot with a lot of things like my GI tract. With I fast as well. Like I've been doing 22-hour days where I don't eat for 22 hours and only eat for 2 hours, and it's great. You start with protein, you end with protein. You get 2 Olippops in, you get your meat, you get a carb, and then that's all you need. And you might be starving at night, but I try to I try to force the hunger down. And it helps a lot, And that's what I do, I took Ozempic for a month during January of this year, and I actually got really sick, and I was not eating healthy at the time. And it's crazy, like even on Ozempic, whatever the fuck you want to call it, whatever you want to do with that, it ruined my GI tract. Ozempic requires like you to really eat healthy if you want to do it right, because it just creates that in your head. And I've done this all pretty much raw. I gained weight after that, but I needed to tell you that because I feel like people wouldn't. I don't want to cheat or lie about the matter of fact that I have done that before, and I'll probably do it again. Shit's great, helps with addiction, helps with impulse control, helps with a lot of things. Miracle drug, low key. And as someone who has ADHD, I don't want to be on stimulants for the rest of my life. So I'd much rather consider that as a long-term thing than anything else. And some people might say that's cheating or whatever, but dude, I think the biggest issue with what I'm doing right now and fasting and, losing weight and doing what I've been doing raw, I guess you could say, is that like I'm hungry so much of the time. It makes it, I barely get sleep sometimes. I'm like starving, dude. I try to only eat like 1,400 calories a day. I'm walking like 10K to 20K steps sometimes. I'll go on 3-hour walks and listen to music and like, practice in my head and like make playlists for DJing, and like I'll try to do that. I'll rock climb. I lift weights sometimes. Been on a run once, and all those things just build up this hunger. And I think that's something people need to realize is losing weight is fighting hunger. It's fighting your body's need to satiate itself uncontrollably. And some people have way more issues with that than other people, you know, like you're not imperfect because you have that. And I think what happens in media and what happens with people is we live in a time where a lot of human beings, especially post-COVID, are just so selfish and so self-centered, and they don't have any empathy for anybody. It's not a thing that's taught. You know, you go online and you see a fat person and there's 150 comments about like how they should kill themselves. How are you fucking fat? You fucking piece of shit, you know? And as someone who lived his life kind of bigger for a while, for about 10, 12 years, it really was just me stress eating. Or, you know, once you get your body to a point where it's like, damn, we could eat 4,000 calories a day. That's what we need. That's what we need to live. That's your conditions that you're in. You need to live by doing that. It's such an easy thing to fall into and think that that's a normal thing. You know, it really is. And I found myself like very baby steps hating that. And losing weight for me wasn't something that I like got ready for and did immediately. It wasn't like David Goggins, you know, it was like baby steps. I got down to 290 from 330, and then I gained like 10 more pounds, and then I got down to 270, gained like 5 more pounds, and I got down to 260, gained 5 more pounds, gained 10 pounds, got down to 255. And that's over the course of like 2 or 3 years. And it just comes from like slowly getting annoyed by those habits and that hunger taking control of you. And I think that that's how I did it. And some people go the Goggins route where they like listen to a few podcasts and then they like completely change their lifestyle. And props to you if you have that willpower. I didn't. It took me a while to kind of like find my groove. And that's really all I do. I just eat healthy. I've learned how to cook. Learning how to cook is amazing. The sous vide takes so much out of like the process of learning how to cook. Like I can cook salmon, I can cook sockeye, I can cook walleye, I can cook halibut, I can cook white sea bass, I can cook tuna steaks. Like I can cook all this stuff for sure. I can do it, but still making it the best I can while being the most simple is the goal, you know? And I think that's the biggest skill you can ascertain in order to combat weight loss, is just realizing that you don't need to cook fucking ground meat with Minute Maid rice and then feel like that's how you do it. Buy an aroma rice cooker for $20. You can get them for $10 used, and just learn how to, you know, portion, learn 3 to 2, you know, learn how to portion your cups right. Save that rice for a while. It's going to taste 10 times better than if you boiled the rice and did it yourself. It's a long process, you know. And if you're a bigger person and you want to use Zepbound or whatever, you know, Ozempic or whatever the fuck you want to be on, or if you want to fast, if you want to do OMAD, if you want to do intermittent fasting, if you want to do, you know, like 1200 is plenty. If you want to do any of these things, that's great. That takes willpower. And don't let anybody tell you like, oh, if you do that, it's just a quick out. Because learning those things and failing at them, if you do, and bouncing back from that and continuing to like realize, oh shit, like that doesn't work for me. But when I was doing this thing, this fad diet or whatever the fuck, I learned that I really like this and how to cook this. And I learned how to do this, you know. And the problem is you never really start if you don't fail. And that's just the truth, you know. Like that's just the honest truth behind weight loss, is you're gonna fuck up, and it's not gonna be this like completely upward slope. And don't listen to the major prerogative that that's the only way you could ever do it, you know. I tried Ozempic, got really sick, and I just realized like, fuck, I gotta suck it up and be miserable. And that's just the truth, you know. That's my truth. I try to do, you know, OMAD, which is 1 meal a day, for a while, and that was horrible. I tried to lift weights while trying to lose weight. Like I tried to lift heavy and run and all that, and the amount of hunger that adds on for me when I'm trying to just maintain a calorie deficit was insane. It was way too much. I was constantly like just almost immeasurably in pain, like mentally. And you know, that's just how it was. And for different people, it's going to be different. And I believe in every single person that they'll find their fucking way if they really want to. And anybody who's starting and anybody who's trying is someone that is worth giving the energy to like, you know, to push into keeping on trying and to show that, hey, your failure does not mean that it's the end of it all. You know, your failure is a battle and a war. And the war is hunger. The war is processed foods. The war is how much food there is out there that is just so horrible for you, especially in America, especially like, you know, what they pass and they allow, like Nabisco, Chips Ahoy, like that shit's crazy. Oreos are crazy, you know, like everyone's gut health here is probably horrible if they don't take care of it. We just live in this constant, like, we're shown that these things are cheaper. You know, that's the other thing. Eating healthy is not an expensive thing. Eating healthy when it's like, oh, you need to buy spirulina and you need to buy like rosemary and you need to like have this and this and this and this and this and this and this to make this one tiny meal that has no nutritional value because there's a bunch of sugar and complex and simple carbs. And then all the things are going to go to waste in your fridge. Of course, people are going to look at that and be like, I don't have the time to make that. And I also don't want to spend all that money. I don't want to spend $20 for fucking a honey pudding, okay? Completely understand that, but it's really cheap to go buy a bunch of chicken breast, some fucking vacuum sealing bags, and a used sous vide, and get some sweet potatoes, get some red onions, and get like, you know, a sauce that you like that's low carb, you know, like a sauce from, let's say, like a, you know, like a spicy sauce, whatever you want. You get like the chicken, the rooster, sriracha, great for you. And freeze it and make it every day. And get a rice cooker and just make healthy, buy the nicest rice you can and make it when you can. And make sure that it's not processed. And you'll realize that it can be easy and it can be cheap. I've saved so much money by not going out. There's times where I've gone out and I spend more on a meal than I do for my week of eating. And that's just the truth, man. Like it's really, if you're eating healthy and simply, so much better than eating healthy and trying to follow like Instagram, TikTok trends where they're like, put a bunch of cream cheese and get asparagus and get these six herbs that you're going to use this little slice of them, and they're all $10 each because you buy them fresh. You go to Whole Foods, right? And then you just kind of use that to make your little situation. Don't listen to that shit, man. And I'll say that actually in confidence rather than being like, oh, don't listen to me. Don't buy that shit, you know? Treat yourself to learning how to cook steak and treat yourself to learning how to make a crust on a piece of chicken. So easy, dude. You just put chicken on, take it off, turn it around. So that's how I lost my weight. And I really encourage every single one of you out there to just try. You know, you're going to fail. You might lose 5 pounds and then gain 10. But hey, you learned, how did I lose that 5 pounds? And you're starting to build up a memory and a knowledge of how to do it rather than thinking that you're going to fail and not doing anything and expecting a day to come where you're just going to know everything. It's not how it works. It's not how any skill works. Like eating healthy is a skill and doing it cheaply is a skill and taking care of yourself is a skill and brushing your teeth and all this stuff are habits and skills that you just kind of need to ascertain. So I believe in y'all. Good luck. Stay wobbling, dude. Fucking look at this guy. I can make him dance now. You ready? Pretty cool.